Incremental greetings. So here's a video from Piotr Wozniak, the creator of Supermemo, about learning history of World War II using incremental reading. That video was posted 6 years ago, oh my god, and I will react to this video. I already seen this video a couple of times. It's been a while since the last one, and I will try to cover what Piotr is taking for granted and all of this, so a newbie could follow easier what he's doing, what's happening in the video.
About World War II in Western Europe, 1940-1941. And it all is very intimidating. It's like a long story. Lots of words, lots of detail. How do I tackle this with incremental reading? Okay, I already prepared 2 pictures here. Let's see.
Before we proceeds, that's the new. So he has already 4-year intervals and 1 repetition. I don't know if that's the start of the article. Doesn't look like this. And more importantly, is wait a second, you have main article, Western Front. This is a very good choice, World War II, because I could have different articles representing the same information from different perspective, different parties. In this case, the Western Front and so on. So it's a good example that I could have contradictory information or different realities of the same facts that both cannot coexist and stuff like this.
As you know, line. And London, I think. So let's see. I don't need this picture. I do have it. Maybe I'll just extract it as a Maginot line. So I'll save it.
Oh my god, yes, Alt X is to extract, but he's also navigating. He's using Alt left and right to see what he just extracted. Let me actually do this. Okay. So let's say I do an extract, in this case, of this. In this case is Alt X. In my screen it looks different, the colors are different because I use my own colors. Then if I go Alt left or I click here, I go to the previously visited element. That's what he's doing.
Picture shows the map of the Maginot line with a different template.
Ctrl-Shift-M to apply the template. Yes, and you have to pick one. He goes way too fast. Ctrl-Shift-M. And now this opens a template registry. So you can use, I want this the picture and whatever. Mine looks always the same because I like very plain.
In April 19...
The thing is that it's not automatic. You have to choose the template you want. But he's way too fast.
1940, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway to protect shipments of iron ore from Sweden, which the Allies were attempting to cut off by...
Another detail is that you see that he has 2 images, the map and the photo. And what he did an extract. When you do an extract, you inherit both images. Then, no, I only want, in this case, care about the map. Therefore, he deletes.
Shows the map of the...
Oh my god, it's way too fast.
Imagine picture shows the map of the...
Okay, so I really need to put it at minimum. Delete image component. That's an appreciation. Here I have 2 image components. Here they are, 2 image components. Cool. And the HTML that is the text. If I delete the second component, because there's no image, only this element, yes. I don't know if he does it because it's way too quick. Now what happened? Sorry. There's only 1 image component. What happens now that I lost a template? It will look the same, but I have lost a template. It's not being set. That means that if I ever modify the template that I had for this topic this will be out of sync. It won't update. If you're a purist, it's not a requirement. What you will do instead, okay. So here, Control F8. Now we have it. The second is empty. So instead of deleting the component, I will leave it like this. Simple as that. So I can use the same template, and always the template is being used. Now in this layout, I don't have this element data at all times, but you get the point. And let's say that you don't want this image. Instead of deleting the component, you can just go to links and delete registry link. It has the same effect. Or in this case, it's because it's the only time that is being used. It's not used elsewhere. If I do this properly, I will be using this in the topics and all of those extracts. See, this is not going to happen. No, I don't want to remove it. Therefore, I still have the image in my registry, but not here. And I always have the components. It's a lot easier for the sake of the templates, so you don't get the not template kind of thing. If I go here, let's say, as before, I get this not template all the time that is cumbersome. Fine detail, but good to appreciate, especially long term.
I know a different template. In April 1940, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway to cut off my clause. Remember, it was not neutral Norwegian waters. Okay, that'll be my first paragraph.
Okay, he is doing this for the sake of the video again. If you just do an extract, it is
any neutral Norwegian waters. This was 1940. Okay, that'll be my first paragraph.
He's way too fast.
Any neutral Norwegian waters.
Okay, you select the text. You pressed Alt X to extract.
Okay, that'll be my.
Now he navigate Alt left, yeah, to navigate back to the extract in this context, because it goes to the last recently viewed element. If you create an element, that will be the most recent.
First paragraph.
Navigating to this is not required at all. In incremental reading, you will just move on to the next repetition. You won't navigate right away. Unless, for whatever reason, you want to bypass the incrementalism and you want to create the item, the flashcard, right away.
And this was 1940. That's my clause. Remember, it was 1940, Germany. Two countries that have been.
When he says clause, he means close. Close deletion.
Denmark and Norway. If I remember, the other one was Norway.
That is a massive misrepresentation of incremental reading. He's creating those flashcards right after the another. What you will do instead is, first, I care about the year. Cool. I move on. I will see this, in this case, in 3 days. This pops up in your repetitions. You will read again, oh yeah, I did this. Oh, you know what? I care about who. Denmark, Germany invaded which countries? Denmark and Norway. Perhaps I want this in one single card. Or I want to have them apart. Depends how you want to granulate this, how familiar you are with this, and so on. The point is that this is incremental, iterative process. So you won't create two close deletions on the same repetition, like he's doing.
I remember it was Denmark protection from Sweden. Actually, it was iron. That's critical.
Also notice some detail. He has done 4 actions already. Usually what you will do is one memory, one action. He has done 4. And on top of that, look at the priority. He is in the 20% ratio. But since we need more precision because he has almost 1 million elements in his collection, I'll be using the number in the priority queue instead. Look at the number, 138,932. If I go back, Look at this.
I remember the other one was Norway.
154,000. The priority was lower because the position was higher. And if I even go back to the first, 168,000, what's happening here is that priorities are dynamic. That means that any action you do during the repetition means that it's something, there's an interest. If you do an extract, that means that there's something there in that extract that is important for you. This increases the priority. If you do a close deletion, it's something you have chosen to remember. This increases the priority. Implicitly. Keep that in mind.
That'll be Denmark and Norway. If I which week, that'll be my second paragraph. Denmark capitulated.
His flow is very similar of what they call the repetition zero incremental reading. He doesn't wait for this to become outstanding in 2 days. He does it right away. He's still using Supermemo for the extracts, close deletion, have the knowledge tree, hierarchy, and all of that. But by no means, strictly speaking, this is not incremental reading.
A few hours. No, that's fast. Yeah, Harbor of Narvik, which I think it's an important name. So I'll remember this.
That is a good example. I think it's an important name. So perhaps you do items in incremental reading preemptively. You're still not sure if it's final. That, oh, this deserves an item? I think so, but I'm not sure. So you still do it. What could happen when you see this next time in the flashcard form is, oh, you know what, that needs some retouching, or I think not today, now I don't see the point, and now some of them, sometimes this could lead to just deleting the flashcard you created.
Always conquered in 2 months. British discontent. Oh, that's important. It's Winston Churchill. Do the same.
Wow, so many actions, so little time. We said that yes, with all X, you do an extract. That means that it will inherit the priority. Let me do it in my collection. So I have this. Let's say I want the title, just the dates. I'll do all X. Look at the priority now. 8.5% or 2,956. First, now it's 42. 2,942 because I did the extract. So this was already modified. But if I navigate like this, previously visited element, it's what I just created. 2,911. It's a very similar priority. By default, it will inherit the priority. It will be slightly below, slightly higher. If what I want instead is to have a very different priority, what I could do, navigate here and now change it to something very low, or even lower than that. But if I know this ahead of time, the vast majority of the military alliances, I know this. Instead of Alt X, I can add the Shift. Shift Alt X. And I do the 2 actions without navigating. Hey, look at that. 16,000. 16. So, by default, it's something already very different. It was 8.4, the source. And it's suggesting me 18. It's a lot lower already. I can go even lower. No, this, yes, I care. I want this in my collection. I want to create an item out of this. I want to choose to remember this. But yeah, it's not that important. This can wait. So I will set a priority of, 63, for instance. Keep in mind, this bar is not linear. So the lower the priority, the less precision there is. So now, if I navigate back, hey, look at the priority. It's a lot lower.
So I'll do like this. This kind of a Norwegian campaign. Do I need to remember that? Maybe not. Let the replacement of British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain with Winston Churchill. Even if I know that, I'll create an extra clause. And the reason is, even if I have the same clause in 3 different contexts, in 2 I may not remember, in 1 I will remember. And once I remember in 1 context, somehow it spills on the other context and I remember.
Yes, good strategy. This is memory anchoring. When you learn something new, a new piece of information, you want to relate this to something you already know. So in this case, that's not useful for me in this very same context. But in this case, if we take his stance, he's familiar enough. He's familiar already with Winston Churchill. So if he relates this to Winston Churchill, oh yeah, I know that. But he will see this in 2 different perspectives, even if he doesn't care much about rephrasing the question. It will be easier when he sees the other perspective, the same question from the perspective of Chamberlain. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. That's a very useful skill. When you learn something, relate to something you already know. If it's not related to anything, it's called asemantic learning, and it's just unrelated, populating there, and it's a lot harder to remember it as a human.
A little bit of redundancy, but it really is cheaper to remember 3 things sometimes than remember 1. And that happened on 1940. Maybe we even remember the day, May 10th. May for sure, maybe not necessarily.
In this case, it's because of redundancy. You could ask when, and the answer will be the date. May 10th, 1940, as a single item. Perhaps you will struggle more, or, oh yeah, I already know it's 1940. I know the year. But now, I want the flashcard just to be more precise, because I do care. Look at the priority, it's huge. 0.004% or 28 element in the priority queue. That means I do care a lot about this. So in this context, makes sense that yeah. I want to be precise, and I want to know even the month this happened, not the year. Because I will have more events next to each other, and I want to mentally put, oh yeah, this was before this other event, or after, in the same year, and so on. Because in the World War, there are so many events.
It was May 1940. Something really important happened. Then Germany launched.
For instance, here you have April. So if I know this, oh yeah, this was, perhaps I cannot put it if it was April, but it will be enough for me to mentally put, oh yeah, this was before this other fact. So I can play more or less the timeline, if it was a movie kind of thing. Especially if the events didn't happen in the same place and happen in parallel. So the timeline can be more complex.
Offensive against France, yeah, I will learn that. German launched an offensive against France. Adhere to the Manstein Plan. Also attacked the neutral nations of Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. Oh, May 10th, same day. That's
an example that, hey, now I can relate. If I already know that this other fact was on May 10th, 1940, now I realized, hey, I can use it as a memory anchor. That this new fact, that when Germany launched an offensive against France, and hey, the same day as this other fact. Could be, for instance, hey, when that person was born, or when that person died, hey, it happened that it died on my birthday, or the birthday of my father. So I just memorized this, oh yeah, the death of this person corresponds to the birthday of this other person that I know really well. I'm not going to forget the birthday, my birthday, or my father's birthday. So I can use it as a starting point. that, hey, this relates to this. It's unrelated, but what share in common is the date. So it will be a lot easier to remember. Yeah, oh, it's the same day as this other element, this other fact, I mean. So if I don't remember this, at least with a heavier recall, it will require more time and more effort, but I could get to the answer.
May, so maybe I will remember May 10th.
And look at the detail. Now he's not closing the year and the month as two different flashcards. Only the month with the day already. It's not exactly the same as before. The difference is the order. If he did that first, it's very likely he will have done the same. And on the previous element, here, will have chosen to close May 10th instead. Because he will be using the memory anchor of the Germany thing, this one. That's why even if many people read the same article, they will have a little different experience because of their previous knowledge. So the order that you learn information is different. So you will adapt to whatever you already know, to something that is new.
France, some other time. The Netherlands and the Belgium are run using blitzkrieg tactics. I remember the blitzkrieg. In a few days, weeks, it was fast again.
Another thing, what happens in this article is that it's extremely fact dense. That means that even with this line, that is not even a full sentence, there is some facts that you can memorize, remember if you want. Usually in incremental reading, that's not the case. You need more reading and more thinking before something makes sense. So that is on the spectrum that is extremely friendly for this flow. It's very fact dense, with information, countries, dates, and so on.
Netherlands.
So this flow is easier to make on video for the sake of the example, but keep this in mind that it's not always this experience.
No comment. The French 45 Maginot line and the mainland. Okay.
Also noticed, kind of misrepresenting incremental reading, he's still reading everything. That's not the case. You will move on already, and you will see this next time. What could happen? Perhaps that, now I want to keep going because I know that the interval is 4 years. If I click next, what's going to happen? The next repetition will be kind of long already. So I want to keep going. In this case, what you could do instead, Ctrl-Shift-P. Now let me cheat this. Let's say that the interval is set like 2000 days. Okay, 5 years and a half. If I move on with this huge article, I'm not going to see it again, right? Because this will be super in the future. Well, what you can do, for instance, is overwriting the interval. There are many things. You can use Ctrl-Shift-P, Ctrl-J instead. And you know what? I stop here, but I will continue today, 1 day interval, or next week, or whatever you want, instead of doing everything here. Not that it's bad, it's just less incremental. For this priority range, perhaps if it's done by search, you ended up here. Yeah, you can do this boosting, but it's more an exception to the rule than the norm.
Okay, it's important. So first, the middle thing. Kirk. Those two. Okay. Big journal. Things I do tomorrow. Yeah. And it goes more or less like that. Those things I do tomorrow. View Blitz. Journal. That's what we can do. Picture nicely. Journal. That's what we can do.
Okay, in this case, he's closing this information That is the caption of the image. But it happens that he's already used the image in the component ahead of time when he started reading. So now he wants to use this by giving context. I really want to remember the context of this image, right? So what happens is HTML, what he uses is Ctrl-Shift F12 that converts the HTML into plain text, which will get rid of the image, inline image here. This image is not in your collection. It is here, this copy, because he downloaded it, but this won't be in your collection. This is on the server. So if the website doesn't have the image today, you won't see that image.
Picture nicely. Oh boy. Okay.
Now he gets rid of the other image because in this case the question is relating to the image. So it makes sense that you only want that image. And now he is changing the template. In his case, he has 130 members. I'm a proponent of the minimum template registry. Feel free to do whatever you want, but this will be going with diminishing returns. WebP, okay. For him, this is meaningful. First, you have the picture bigger, and you have this background color. Now, this is not just cosmetics. It's giving you a hint of, hey, this is for a reason. It's color coding the intention of this item. But wait, it's not an item yet. It's a topic. He needs to do close deletion. I'm assuming he will do it.
That's nice. Big picture.
And here you have an example that it's the same color. It's only optimizing for the image component size because it's more square. What happens in Supermemo is that this is fixed. This is the size of the image. Unlike Anki or whatever, that if the image is longer, it will take a longer space or whatever. Not in Supermemo. Now he did fit something like that. It was way too quick. Again, I have to lower the speed to the minimum. Fit all picture, yeah. This is to further optimize, but what I will do instead is you have one template as a standard that looks like this, whatever, if you want to have it to the other side, whatever, and just use this instead of having so many templates. Just to let you know, that's a backup of my joining collection, and I only have 8 templates, and 2 of them are dummy. So I would suggest to spend time on this, and especially today that the screens will be higher resolution, so you don't have to worry about this anymore.
Okay, learn that, and so on and so on. Those things I will learn some other time. I'm a little bit in a hurry. So.
Now he does is that he doesn't want to read anymore, but there's more text. Usually what he will do is, wait for the next repetition. But instead, he's doing extracts without reading. This is useful in this context because the interval, there's only one repetition, and the interval is already for years. So instead of resetting the interval, changing the priority, is just let me do the extract, and the extract will have a fresh topic with a new interval of maximum 40 days at the worst. So that's quicker. And you already have the context. I personally don't do this myself. I prefer to keep the original topic and move on. But yeah, at least it's what he's doing.
You can just do things later.
And apply it on because you're done. Yes, but you create two copies. Yeah, depends. If you like this flow, feel free to do it. Just to let you know, based on my genuine experience with close to 4 years, that for me, my size, the size of my collection, that is not required. Perhaps if I had a million items, a million elements like he has, I will be more inclined to use this strategy.
About the contents.
And this ZZZ333 close marker 321 ZZZ, this is a placeholder that Supermemo uses. It's a bag, one of the many bags, and this happens when you do close deletions way too quick. That you don't let Supermemo load everything and so on, and the placeholder is not deleted. In case you wonder.
Western from Western Europe. Let's see how many items.
Now that is the branch starts here because this was the topic, the original topic, the Wikipedia article, but he applied done already. And now he has all of this. From this video, he only did Western Europe, which was a sub branch. Was not the full article, by the way.
From Western Europe.
Now, he doesn't show anything, but what he did is to open the contents. That's a good example. So I want all of the contents from here, hierarchy down, or perhaps from here. What I will do is Control Enter. What I will do is Control Space. And this opens the contents in the browser. All of the hierarchy down. Especially useful when you have a lot of hierarchy, a lot of elements.
How many items? 20 items. Yeah. Lots of work. Nice. Now imagine that on the same day, you have a big urge to go through this material again. Say you have a test tomorrow.
Exactly. The only exception to this incrementalism, that you don't wait to see it when it's scheduled, only makes sense when you are forced by a deadline. If you learn by yourself, self-paced, all of this that he's doing, the repetition zero incremental reading, doesn't make any sense. Please don't do it. If you use Supermemo for the school system, high school, university, then you will be forced to do it because you have an artificial need in time. If that's not your case, don't take this as an example.
Or you ate a beautiful meal and now you're ready to learn. Let's go to the root of all that chapter. That's Western Europe. Let's see Western Europe. That's correct.
Okay, going to the root. That's not the best way to do it. Yes, you can go with the... This goes to the parent only. So in this case, World War, going once will be enough because it's just a parent. If I have more hierarchy, like let's say this, in the imports, okay, the ancestor window, look at this. I'm in RAG, Retrieval, Large Language Models, Import 3, New, and Root. So I will need to click up every single time. Go to the parent, go to the parent, go to the parent, the imports 3, now the imports 3, and so on. I can also click manually, go to the root, or perhaps he set the root in the topic. Yes, it's here. Article, you can also click here. Now it's applied done. It's not the best example. Let's do this one. I click the article, boom, I go there. Let's use the example that we're doing now. The World War, I have this. Yeah, this is taken from this, right? World War II. Yeah. I click not the parent, but the article. And boom, I go there. Or you can also, if you want to use the keyboard, it's Control up, bam, and I'm there.
let's see that in the browser. Let's run.
Control Shift Space versus Control Space. What's the difference? I mentioned before, let me use a different branch so it's more meaningful. That's Control Space. 138. Cool. Now Control Shift Space. Doesn't do anything. I may assume that this is because it was done in Supermemo 17 or 18, but it's not the shift. It's Control Space only.
Randomize the browser. Last repetition took place today. 4.
I actually can check now that I remember. I don't trust my memory. Control Shift. Yeah, I don't have it. So it's very likely that it's just an outdated.
I will need to add this to the outstanding queue. Otherwise, I won't be able to review the Supermemo. Assumes you already know things because it's done today. So I will add it to the
Yeah, that's something you can do. It's more incrementally friendly, so instead of doing what he did and reading everything all of the time, or manually going with the knowledge tree, you artificially add everything in the outstanding queue, which doesn't require to modify the outstanding date, by the way. And then you will click learn to go to the next one in the outstanding queue. So at least you have more this micro interleaving practice.
outstanding queue. So I'll go to learn. Go. I'll begin with a topic, which means there is a part of the text I haven't processed it. So let's see. Using newly captured French ports, the German Navy enjoyed success against another extended Royal Navy using U-boats against British shipping in the Atlantic. The British scored a significant victory on May 1941 by sinking the German battle. Oh yeah, that's battleship. We remember Bismarck. Maybe May 1941. Yeah.
Again, if you remember, was May 10th. So we already know that this is 2 weeks after that. The other item we did. He did a while ago.
41 May. Perhaps most important during the Battle of British Royal Air Force.
Keep in mind this is very lazy close. You have 5 lines and you're just closing one word. This will require adjusting and deleting some unneeded context to answer the question. Because this is not for having a question and answer, for checking the understanding. No, I want to recall this so it becomes stays in my long-term memory. So the question and answer you will do are different.
I saw the German or then remember if I mention no line, I'll delete that part.
And that's an example that he just deleted the starting part because it's not needed for this question. Even though there's a lot of improvement here, it's incremental. He'll need some repetitions, and depending on the priority, perhaps this card will never be properly well written. Even though 5 years was 6 years later, now we have ChatGPT and so on, so you can reword and rephrase a lot quicker if you want.
I'm not an expert in army tactics, so through the thick wood or dense region. Okay, delete that too. So we have a simple item now.
Yeah, much better. Still not the final form necessarily, but a lot better.
As you know, I'm through the Ardennes. British Prime Minister.
Also, what is good that he's not doing, at least for now, is that since this is still HTML, even if it's in a flashcard form, you can click the hyperlinks. So now that you see it is who was that person, you can just shift click and that's it. Let me show you one example. So here I have this is, yeah, League of Nations. What is this? Shift click. Hopefully you will use a modern browser, not Internet Explorer. And yeah, it was the first worldwide. Oh yeah, gotcha. I want this. And then what I will do is I will import it and keep continuing this, if I care. So that means that if I do the close deletion,
Supermemo with bigger part. Let's try super. The question of the Maginot line. This one. Do we need more? The French fortified the light for this mistake. No, too much.
so basically he's doing a lot more close deletions, the non-incremental, the repetition 0, because he has, well, he pretends he has an exam. Again, do it if that's your case.
Details. I'll about this somewhere here. Content of them, but May 10th, 19.
That is an example that he did before. You will see this next day and so on, not the same day. He added this to the outstanding queue, so he pushed this. Again, only if you're very short in time because of deadlines, makes sense. And what it was that? 1940, if I'm not mistaken.
40.
Yeah.
May.
What happens now, this is useless because I just read this. Those are siblings. This is what happens when you do this, the side effect it may have. Now, I just read it was May, so that defeated my chance of recall.
10th, 1940. It's a little repetitive now.
That's why
at
first you may want to micro interleave, so you don't have these siblings next to each other.
Dunkirk. So
If that's the case, what you could do instead, let's pretend that the items are from here. Only items. Okay, and I have 60 here. So yeah, I will have the siblings next to each other. No worries. Go here, sort. There's many criteria. Use the last one, randomize. It's not a golden rule, but it will be less likely that you will spoil your questions because you have seen the same question but in a different clause of the same original topic or extract.
what can we cut? The French fortified Ardennes region. As a result, developer. Oh, it's difficult to remove things. It's very long. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So I'll say, I know that we don't need this explanation about the thickly wooded Ardennes.
Finally, an example that you don't have to extract and then edit. You can edit first, adapt the text, not just deleting, by the way, but changing the wording or adding your own, and then do the close deletion or another extract of that. That's the beauty of incremental reading. You are editing from the source. From the source, in this case text, is not limited to text, by the way. You can have video and audio or images. From the source, you slightly, iteratively, incrementally, you make it your own, on your own words, relating to the knowledge you already know, and will result in flashcards of what you have chosen to remember. That's the simplicity and the beauty of incremental reading. You mess around with the source, you split it, you make chunks, you modify it. It's a chaos, everything in different stages of the learning process, all smashed together with different priorities. Changing the subject, the context every repetition. Apparently doesn't make sense. It does when you are proficient with the system. Wonderful. Even though he's not doing an example of this.
Dunkirk. That's See, next repetition. Where's the next repetition? On March 1st. Then Germany in April 9th.
Okay, were two countries. I think it was France.
Before the German invaded Denmark, that was the first paragraph, remember?
Should. This is what happens. That means that I will take as an example. Oh, should. I feel this is Denmark, but since I created another item very similar to this, now I know by the binary property that it is France. It's not the answer of this question, it's from the other question. So I have no opportunity, genuine opportunity to recall that, because now I'm primed that I already know it's France. So as soon as I see that question, France.
And Norway.
Again, spoiled by the siblings. Again, you can randomize this, as I shown you some minutes ago.
Germany launched an offensive against France, and here the Mainstein plan also attacked them.
Here you go. Well, it's not the close deletion in this repetition, but here is against France. So you get the example. That should. I already know it's like this. I don't know if he will get this item now.
Neutral nations, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. And that was this famous day of May 10th.
Yeah, May.
America.
And 10th.
Yeah, I can do it some other time or continue. Good morning. It's a new beautiful day. We start learning.
Okay, so in this case, at the very least, is slightly incremental because now this is next day. It's not one single shot. But, I mean, this will have been many days, many different days. But it will be a nightmare to record all of this incrementally.
Review what we have learned yesterday, see what we can improve. We don't need to do any tricks with that to outstanding. We can just improve.
Which, by the way, now, based on this zoom, we can see his collection. He has 200,000 items and more than 400 topics. Oh my god. Oh my god.
We don't need to do any tricks.
His outstanding looks more or less like mine. Nothing crazy. That's because he uses auto-postpone.
With that to outstanding, we can just...
Back to the topic of the video.
So, we have a topic we haven't processed yesterday. So we try to do this now.
This is useful because since this, at the end of the day, is like some kind of primitive Internet Explorer that is rendering the HTML inside Supermemo. Now you know that territory ceded to the USSR, this has been visited. You know you have already opened that link. Perhaps not even here, in a different item, but it's the same link. In a different topic, but it's the same link.
At the end of September 1940, the Tripartite Pact united Japan, Italy, and Germany to formalize the act.
Okay, this means three parties. I already know that. But perhaps taking his example, that how the heck do you pronounce this in English? In my case, will be tripartite and tripartido in my native languages. But in English, it's tripartite, tripartite. I'm not sure. So in this case, I will close this, unrelated to the topic of the history, and it will be just purely a language, English language item, not for the context of the World War and so on.
Axis power. The Tripartite Pact stipulated that any country with the exception of the Soviet Union not in the war which lacked the Axis powers would be forced to go to war against all three. Okay, what's that? This one, memorized. The Axis expanded in November 1940 when Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania joined the Tripartite Pact. Okay, let's skip it with the context of what the Tripartite Pact was. Then.
Good example. This is rare. If you noticed, he did an extract of the three lines, or the two sentences, and then the next extract is a superset, contains the last extract. How the heck is this useful? for context. Lazy way to do the context. And how do you know that? By the styling. Let me do it. Many participating countries, until resources. Cool. Keep in mind my color is slightly different. Now is, yeah, the aircraft played major role, but I want context. If I do this next time, it will be really hard to know, to put it into perspective. So what I will do instead is this. But I will do it like this. So by color, I already know I have another topic that is just this extract. So for me, implicitly, I'm telling, hey, this is for context only. Don't care about this here, because I take this in another place, in another topic. Perhaps I still have to do it, I don't know, or I have already done it. So I have seen the repetition of this topic. This is the next day, this is in 4 days. So in this case, I will first do this. It's likely I will see this first. So when I see this, I already covered that. I have already processed that in a different place. But time required for this for the sake of the context. So the aircraft played a major role in enabling the strategic bombing of population centers. Why? Oh yeah, because there were many countries invested in economic, industrial, scientific capabilities, blurring the distinction between civilian and military. Yeah, makes sense. So what played a major role? In this case, I will close the aircraft. And I know that an aircraft is not driven by civilians. Yeah, let's have an example.
Romania would make a major contribution as Hungary to the Axis war against the USSR, first to recapture territory conceded by the USSR, or should they pursue? Okay.
Another insight here is that, wait, you have an extract of, 4 sentences, and you did 2 extracts. So you extracted all of the content again. Okay, it's useful. And not even that, in this example, he even overlapped the extract. So he did actually 3 extracts of that. Is that useful? Well, it's useful if you have in mind already your intention. That, yeah, this is the previous step to the close deletion. So in this case, it makes sense. And because, as I said at the beginning of this long video, is that it's very information dense. So in this case, in 3 lines, I already have a lot. If that was an article more about opinion, with some golden nuggets, perhaps I will need 10 paragraphs for the same amount of cards I will end up doing. So keep that in mind. This is not the usual case, that the extract gets extracted individually, more atomic, completely.
Oh, and this will be done. And it's in Europe. Okay.
And by the way, you see this difference now? That he's using the learn, so he's navigating through the elements instead of using the browser or the knowledge tree and cherry picking. This looks more genuine, more organic. Even though you're losing the micro-interleaving, because it's always from the same source. So it's always the same topic.
More later. Next repetition. Okay. More later. Next repetition.
Finally, more later. That means I'm done for this repetition, but this is still content there. So now he prefers to take the incrementalism. Now here I know, it's not France. It was Denmark.
In April 1940, Germany invaded Denmark and now we protect shipments of iron ore from Sweden. We don't need the rest, we can press Alt.
But it's also hitting, the context is hinting me too much. Because I have Norway, Sweden, so geographically they are very close to each other. And then to the south is Denmark. So it's kind of weak. It's easier for me to recall this now, today. But when this takes an interval of some years, especially if I delete the cues, I formulate the item, so I don't have this almost giving me away the answer, or narrowing down the possibilities of the answer, my recall will be a lot weaker. You have to optimize for the long term. Not make an item easier to recall today when it's 1 or 2 days. Easier to recall it. Make it easier to recall it when it's in a few year intervals. You win in the long term.
Alt, dot. Okay.
That as an example. Is delete after cursor is a shortcut. I only have Sweden. Okay. At least I have less noise, less context. It's more atomic. Perhaps I will include Norway in the answer. And in this date, what countries did Germany invade to protect shipments from iron ore from Sweden? Ah, yeah, Norway and Denmark. Or Denmark and Norway. I don't care about the order. For me, it's commutative. So if I answer Denmark and Norway, or Norway and Denmark, for me it's the same answer.
Good, great. I'm so good, even great, because I remember pretty well. Germany launched an offensive against France, and adhered to the Mainstein plan, also attacked neutral nations of Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. Maybe it's worth remembering Belgium and the Netherlands in the context of Benelux. Okay, next.
This is almost a list. Attack neutral nations of Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. He didn't close all of three in once, that it will be harder to recall. I don't know his intention today, because if I see this is neutral nations other than Netherlands and Luxembourg, which is Belgium, okay. But perhaps those are not the only ones. I just happen to be three that are mentioned, but there are more. Then it is arbitrary that is Belgium. It could have been some of the others that are not mentioned. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not that versed in history, but it's an example that I know. Colors. And three colors that are used. And yeah, I'm heading one. Good luck, because there are more colors to choose from. That will be a really bad card. Hope you get the example.
In the context of Benelux.
Ah, yeah, now he's doing it.
Next.
Okay.
In the context of
But not Luxembourg, for whatever reason.
Benelux. Throughout which period? So we can do Alt, backslash, delete the text. Do Alt, backslash.
Yeah, as an example, to delete the context before the cursor. Depending on your keyboard, especially if you're not using an English or American keyboard, it won't be like this. It's above the tab, usually.
Alt, backslash, delete the text. In November 1939, the American neutrality. Denmark capitulated after what? I think.
Good case. I'm not primed. I really don't know the answer. This is a good example that capitulated after what? Not that I don't recall, is that I don't know what I'm being asked. Is a country? Something in economics? I don't know. It could be many things to choose from. I need more preciseness in this question.
Okay, no. We need to add a clue here.
Yeah. Oh,
Denmark
cool.
capitulated
Yeah.
after how fast? A few hours. And despite a less support during which the empire happened, Norway was probably. Norway was conquered within 2 months. We don't even need that part. So, alt dot, yeah?
In this case, yeah, you don't need anything else because you already have the queue.
Denmark capitulated after a few hours. That's it.
Okay, a few hours. Cool. But if I see the content again, how I'm supposed to know that this was about time? Perhaps because I had this context. Norway was conquered within two months. It's comparing. I could be inclined that this is comparing to durations, right? But it's very weak connection. And because I have this, imagine I only have from until Germans. What do we answer here? It's too open. It's not a good card. And needs formulation like he did.
Germany, we don't need that to protect. British discontent over the May 10th, to the 1940. Maar je know online. De dunne vet. Maar je know online.
Okay, here's a good example that there's nothing meaningful to do here. So this repetition is empty. No action is taken. But why he didn't delete this? Because, yeah, perhaps this will be useful later. Because I'm preparing for an exam. In case it's more genuine that I do it for me, it's also valid. That, for now, doesn't seem meaningful based on what I have read. But I know I have plenty more reading. And I have a hunch that knowing this line between France and Belgium, it's meaningful for the Second World War. But what I have read was with Norway, Sweden, Denmark. So I didn't get to the point of Belgium. Because of incremental reading, I got this ahead of time. I'm not reading this linearly. So I'm waiting this. One of the ways you can do it is just like he does, that you just press space, move on, and you will get the next repetition. Or you can do Ctrl J. I have a feeling this is useful, but man, I have plenty of reading. So I will push it already 100 days to the future. So I'm manually setting the next interval. So I don't see this several times and do the same action to bypass it.
As you know, online, you find the humans went this way. I already had those items. Usually, I don't know from.
Oh my god! I didn't notice that. This has been his token image, let's say. The image that he used, or one of the two images he used to represent Second World War. That all of the extras he did inherited those pictures. So now this has sparked my interest. For me, it's a map representing this, but I didn't know much of it. But now I see there's some meaning behind this. It's relevant to the story. Not for the entire world, but at least for those two countries, at the very minimum. So a reason to keep it in my collection.
Sweden, I already had those items. Usually when we learn, those items don't get clustered like this, they get spread over in time. But here we intentionally review that particular part of the material. And that review that particular part of the material.
Exactly, that is more or less the same question as before. That I will have closed Denmark and Norway. But now we are not asking which countries did Germany protect, invaded. Now is the reason. In that date, why did Germany invade Denmark and Norway in April 1940? To protect the shipments of iron from Sweden. Or perhaps I just want to memorize the place. Or just as a redundancy, did I really care? Yes, it was to protect the shipments, or just that, to protect something from Sweden. I don't care exactly what. So if I forgot there was shipments of iron ore, I don't care. Something of value for me. If that I do this for an exam, I only required to know this relationship with Sweden. Here you go. I don't care. If I do it for me, and I do care to know the reason, that why they were motivated to do so. Oh yeah, because they wanted to protect the shipments of iron. Makes sense. That is why, even if you have the same extract, different people will have chosen different things, because everyone will choose what they want to remember.
In April 1940, Germany invaded down.
And here's the same, and wait, that was not the end. From Sweden, which the Allies were attempting to cut off by unilaterally mining Norwegian waters. This is more context. So now is what was the motivation to protect the shipments of iron ore from Sweden by Germany in order to invade? So if I'm really invested in this, I want to dig further. I can ask more specific questions. But this is incremental. That means I already know it's Germany who invaded Denmark and Norway. I already know the reason. To protect shipments from iron ore. And I know from who? From Sweden. And I already know the date. In April 1940, I think. Now I will see it, the video. Since this is already stable in my memory, those facts are easy to recall from me. Is yes. Now let me add further detail. And the context. Oh yeah, they wanted to protect the shipments because the Allies, not them, the Allies were attempting to cut it off from Norwegian waters. So it's like I have, if it was a movie, yeah, I have the general plot, then it's more like the scenes, and then the context and the reasoning of every single scene in that movie, to make more or less a simple analogy. And only if it's hyper-detailed enough, I will care at this precise level of detail.
Okay. 1940.
Yep, that was the year. Cool.
Nou, basically over the blitzkrieg tactics.
A few days. There was a similar car that was in a few hours. In this case, now it's easier because they have and weeks respectively. It's a when. That means Belgium was overrun by weeks, the Netherlands by what? It's not weeks, cannot be the same. So it could be perhaps higher months, but since how it's written in English, I'm very inclined to think it's hitting me that it's less than weeks. So it could be days or hours.
It's a few days. Netherlands was better than Denmark.
In this case, it's days. If that was me, what I will do is split this into two. The Netherlands was overrun using this, I don't know how to pronounce that, blitzkrieg tactics in a few. No, not in a few. In what period of time? Oh yeah, in a few days. Second item. Belgium, in the Second World War, Belgium was overrun using blitzkrieg tactics. Duration time. Oh yeah, in a few weeks. For me, this will work better because the context, the language is giving me hints already. Too much.
Ardennes. Belgium army blitzkrieg. Ardennes.
An example, he didn't read the entire thing. So just the French frontier magnet line and the main body of Allied forces, but I don't know the answer. That's usually the case because he just did this. So he did everything today, that day, or the previous day. So everything is very vivid in his memory. If you do this more incrementally, that won't be the case because you have forgotten the details through the sleeping process. So when you say, oh, I'm so good that I can recall even half sentence, well, that's actually an indication you're not doing it the proper way. Because that means you're relying on the specific wording. Oh yeah, I remember that when there was a question that started with French, that was the answer. That's why it's super useful. First, incrementalism. Second, interleaving. Third, reformulating. It's the key to success long term. What happens? This is not long term. He pretends to do it for an exam. For an exam, everything will be crap. You have to sacrifice quality of the learning for the sake of the forced deadline. It's the best you can do.
Blitzkrieg tactics in few days. Netherlands, Belgium, army blitzkrieg.
Cool. So I created two items. The Netherlands and Belgium, right? Well, not specifically. Were the weeks and days. I gave the country the question. Then I could make a linking, a connecting item. That I have those two items, those memory, those facts. Netherlands was overrun in a few days and Belgium in a few weeks. But then it's both countries, Netherlands and Belgium, that I already know the duration that I know they were overrun and for how long they took. But now I want to put those together and using which kind of tactics? Yes, this word that I don't know to pronounce. Blitzkrieg. So those memories, let's say isolated, quote unquote, isolated memories. Now I'm making yet another connection. So I know that the context is Second World. I know that they were overrun in a specific part. Here that doesn't say the year, but in another place we had the year at the beginning, and it was 1940. So I have the context, I have the timeline. Now is the reason. Oh yeah, how? I know. I don't know the reason here, but at least how. Something in common was the tactic was the same. So I'm making semantic connections. I'm building the big picture. That is a golden nugget. So I'm distilling the knowledge from a huge article. Sorry, information from the huge article. And as I am converting this article, I'm chunking by making extracts and glosolations. I'm building block by blocks, brick by brick, the big picture. Non-linearly. Non-linearly. It may sound like a stupid idea at the beginning that you're making your learning worse or unnecessarily difficult, but this works wonders once you have mastered this technique, this method. Absolutely.
We actually can't learn anything unless we remember that Belgium was around the center like the Netherlands, but which is pretty similar, right? So maybe I'll just do done on this. So let's do done. Done.
Oh wow, you can trigger the commander here. Yeah, I never used this to the mouse for that. And yes, this is in this case, it's everything is done. I had the flashcard of Netherlands and Belgium with their respective days and weeks. He didn't close the weeks, by the way. And then the region, I made the connection already. There's no more information here. So I'm done.
The result of our trip. Do we want to remember how many troops? 300,000. British and French. I won't learn anything else on that.
And in this case, he didn't extract the second thing, right? Like the other case that he extracted everything from the extract. That is, yeah, he's done. But wait a second. He didn't extract anything from the what is not blue, but he did the close deletion right away. It's another flow. This will require to heavily adapt the question because it will be kilometric. But instead of doing a second level of hierarchy in the extracting, you do the close deletion right away. So you can mix close deletion and extracts on the same extract.
Done on this, which means I won't learn anything else on that. Netherlands, Belgium, Blitzkrieg tactics, respectively, French 45. Maginot. All right. And the last one, Denmark capitulated after a few hours.
If you remember, that was a card after how long in time? Here, it's by context. So, what in a card is the answer, in another card is part of the question. So you're seeing the same context in a different way, in a different perspective. And it could be even better if the wording is slightly different. So it's the same question semantically, but it's different in a language level, the actual wording. If you care to invest time to change the wording, and it's more like a semantic repetition, I don't care about how it's written, that is a superpower. That increases the quality so much.
Germany invaded Denmark and Norway to take shipments of iron ore from Sweden, which allies were attempting to cut off by unilaterally mining neutral Norwegian waters. Do we want to remember about this mining?
Yep, that was the case that I said earlier. That in case I'm really invested, I will have chosen why. I already know who, when, the intention was to protect the shipments from Sweden, but the context, why the motivation of this to protect the shipments. In case I do care, I will do the close deletion to create the item. So I remember this. Let's see if he does.
Oh, too much detail. Done.
Okay, too much detail. So he doesn't care about this detail. So therefore, he moves on and deletes, well, applies done.
And that's it.
So that was, again, a reaction video, a lot longer than the actual video I'm reacting to. Hope this has been useful. Please look at more videos from my channel to really know the difference of the genuine incremental routing and this video that is not that genuine. Nothing more to add today, and see you incrementally.